Behind the whistle.
All right. We're good. Let me put these headphones on.
This is exciting, man.
I'm excited. Matt OB, how you going?
Good to see you, Nathan.
Yeah. Hey, I got a question for you straight off the bat. Handshakes.
Handshakes. Oof.
In the basketball world, everyone does the same handshake. You go up to someone and it looks like this. Boom. So ready? Leave your hand like, and then it's just bang.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's it.
And that's like, if you go up to someone in the basketball world, you're walking past someone, hey bro, how you going? It's boom, boom.
Yeah.
Like this, and that's it. In the rugby world, is it always different? Like,
Man, that's a good question.
It's an awkward one, right?
It's a good question because there's a lot of handshakes out there.
Yeah.
There are a lot. And
Are they always going for the...
I recently had this problem.
Yeah.
So there's two. There's the normal handshake. Hey Nathan, good luck today. Yeah,
Yep.
great, fine.
Yep.
But in actual fact, if you know someone at footy,
Uh-huh.
and maybe it's a New Zealand context, I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
There's two. It might be straight in. Yeah.
Bang.
Good to see
Yep.
you. Maybe a little bit of a shoulder on shoulder and a tap.
Okay, yep,
You
yep.
know?
I hear
Hey,
you.
yeah, we're cool. I get you.
Yep.
Or if you really know them, it's a
Bang.
bang
With the fist
slap
bump.
and fist.
Okay.
I don't know where that came from. It feels like old dude shouldn't necessarily be doing that, but yeah, that's around.
That's
the,
funny.
The slap and fist
The slap and
does
fist.
not sound appropriate, but
So if people want to see how the slap and fist works, jump on YouTube, because I'm trying to put this episode on YouTube.
yeah.
Perfect. Okay, now, Matt, I'm excited to have you on, man.
Yeah, this is really exciting for
We've
me.
we've had a lot of suppressed conversations
Yeah.
for this moment.
That's right.
So Matt comes into the recovery room where I work, and we're Behind the Whistle is sponsored by Recovery Room, by the way. Beautiful place. Fantastic. Super grateful to be able to use that space today.
I love this joint, by the way, just to quickly,
Yeah.
even before intros.
Yeah.
I love this joint. It's good.
Didn't even get paid to say that or anything.
No. I flat out live in that ice bath.
Yeah, you
and
do.
in this compression gear.
Not wrong. So yeah, a lot of suppressed conversations. So I'm interested to see what comes out of this one. I read the scouting report on you, man.
Oh.
I put together a little scout.
Oh, okay.
Try to figure out who you are and what you do.
Sure.
Spoke to your boy Ollie.
Oh, my man.
Yeah, shout out Ollie.
Ollie's a good dude.
Now he says, in fact, I wanted to start with you just introducing yourself.
Ooh.
And just give me a little bit of an elevator pitch. Who's Matt, and what have you done in your career? Like, obviously, we're trying to specify it down to referees today,
Yep.
so that they can learn. But give it a go, and then I'll see if I have some extra.
Sure.
Yeah.
Matt O'Brien, I'm a passionate rugby supporter since birth, growing up in the south of New Zealand. Mm-hmm. It's a rugby-driven place. Mm-hmm. My father was an international rugby referee, refereed at a World Cup in 2003, for example.
Incredible.
And so conversations in my life always had an aspect of that, of rugby, or in the later years refereeing in them. So I guess to a certain extent I was exposed to it. And I went away and got into it and ended up refereeing for a very long time in the Sevens World Series around the world, which was a hell of a thing to have done for a few years. A little bit of Super Rugby, which is the first class rugby scene over in the Southern Hemisphere.
Mm-hmm.
And now locally, those days have passed, but locally I'm still involved now with the Sunshine Coast situation, helping the young guys develop there.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
So, Ollie tells me, and research backs this,
Yeah, sure.
that you refereed in the World Sevens Series
Correct.
for years and years and years.
Yes, for 5 seasons, I think.
5 seasons of Rugby Sevens
181
World.
games.
181 games. And supposedly 8 refs go on tour with that? Is
Correct. That's right.
So basically that puts you in the top 8 refs in the world for rugby union at the time.
At the time, for sevens, yeah.
It's crazy.
That was cool, man.
That's incredible.
Oh, yeah. It was I've never really put it
Maybe.
like that, to be honest. But yeah,
Yeah.
I guess
You
when you reflect on it, that's a really cool way of looking at it.
I go, Ollie, how good's this Matt dude, man? He goes, top 8 refs in the world, really.
Oh, you're making me blush.
Too good. Now, I want to backtrack real quick. And I want to ask you, because as I said, I did my due diligence.
Yeah.
And I read an article.
Here we go.
But I'm not getting into the deep stuff yet. It was from the Otago Daily Times. Mm-hmm. And it said that you vowed never to pick up the whistle. Is that accurate?
That's true. That's spot on.
Wow.
Where'd you find that one?
Well, mate, I did some digging.
That's funny.
I think I went to the bottom of the webpage, then clicked next.
Yeah, right.
And then clicked on something and found something, and it said Matt O'Brien, who previously vowed to never pick up the whistle, goes on to have like the biggest career. Like, what?
Yeah, man. Tell me. So what happened? My father, to be fair, was an exceptionally experienced world rugby referee. Mm-hmm. Like I said, refereed some big games and was known within the game worldwide, and probably to a certain extent still is. Mm-hmm. And as a young guy growing up, and this is comical, by the way, like I'm proud of my father's achievements. Mm. So what I say now is a bit tongue in cheek. It's not like poor me.
I hear you.
But growing up, there was a lot of I'm Paddy's son. Paddy O'Brien was my father's name. And so at one point I was living in Europe. He was involved with World Rugby at a high level, and someone was interviewing him, and they actually said to me, I don't know how they've got this in an article, but they said to me, would you ever consider refereeing, like good pedigree here sort of thing?
Yeah.
And at the time, young guy striving to make my own way of the world and not be in anyone's shadow.
For sure.
Probably didn't think about it so much, but it just defined it's like, no, I would not. I will never be one of those guys.
Yeah.
I play rugby, I support rugby, and the enemy is the ref is the enemy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, man, I said that, and I think I believed it at the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. So when you were playing, so originally was your dream to play at the highest level?
Oh yeah, I wanted to be an All Black for sure.
Okay. Yeah. Got you. And so before you picked up the whistle, obviously you played, right?
Yeah.
And so you say the referee was the enemy. How were you as a player towards refs before you became a ref? Out of curiosity.
Look, I was always aware that referees are just people. My old man was one.
Yeah, true.
But I had a pretty sharp tongue as a young fella.
Yeah.
And learned early that it was okay to put pressure on referees and to come up with cunning ways to get in the ear.
Yeah.
Just, we walk past them at the right time and say the right slightly pressurized thing.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Makes
I
sense.
was harsh, to be honest. I was a very vocal player.
Hold them accountable.
Let's be honest here. I was a very vocal player, very cheeky, and probably the type of player that I now look at and go, "Come on, mate, pull your head in."
True.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yep.
Very interesting. And so, obviously, what actually made you pick up the whistle when you retired, or?
Yeah, that's
or,
a good question.
I don't know.
So, look, eventually, it became really obvious to me as a player, as a young guy, by the time I was probably 20 years old, that actually I wasn't quite of the ilk that was going to become an All Black. Not really. It wasn't quite there. And in hindsight, I really didn't I didn't understand yet as a young man that so much of it was going to be about the top 2 inches. I thought you just had to train hard and have a strong attitude and you'll be okay.
Yeah.
But, I learned later on that actually it's the guys that are grafting, putting in the yards, slowly building their skill sets and these things.
Yeah.
I was probably looking for more have it now or don't have it. Got
you. So when you say the top 2 inches, that's like the 1%ers. That's like the patience, the grind, the everything.
It's not the guy with the most talent. It's the guy with the most graft and grind. Who's just going to slowly but surely build.
Got you.
Those guys make it.
Right.
I was a determined, persistent young fella, but I was also a little bit wild. And I didn't have that small growth mindset yet. So gave away playing. I came to Australia in 2003 as a pharmacist and just thought, I'll live my life outside of sport.
Yeah. No, I like it.
Yeah. Weird side story.
No, cool.
And then I thought, I was starting to live away from rugby and experience other things. So we actually went over and lived in Europe.
Okay.
In Ireland and in Dublin.
Interesting.
And man, did my eyes open up when I got over there. There's just so much life. When you come from small town New Zealand and you get to, when I got to Europe, it was just like, oh my God, there is so much possibility. And so rugby took a massive backseat. little bit loose, probably got a bit involved too much in drinking and so forth, but I had a hell of a time. And then one day I turned up to Twickenham, which is the England rugby home ground. They call it RFU, Rugby Football Union, the Rugby Football Union, as England Rugby is inclined to do.
Okay, yeah.
It's an epic stadium, holds 80,000 people, and it goes off, man. Like the crowd there, like a couple of other places in the world, it just goes straight up. Like it straight down onto the field. You can feel the energy coming off it. They sing God Save the Queen and Swing Low, Sweet Chariot. When the crowd does that in unison, man, you feel it. Like I mean, you sit down at ground level and you feel it like bass at a concert or where it just goes explodes. So I'm sitting there, England versus New Zealand, big game for a passionate All Black fan, and a guy that I played a lot of rugby with in my high school years is debuting for the All Blacks. His name was Andrew Ellis.
Yep.
I wasn't there to watch him specifically, but I knew him from the school years enough to be watching that game, see him come out and he's doing the haka, and he's on the field, and here I am sitting in the crowd, and I couldn't help but watch and feel a little bit, not sad, jealous maybe, or just something like, man, you got there, dude. And he got there because he's a grafter. And I looked at the field and I honestly had this just a feeling. Actually looked at my girlfriend at the time and said, I belong out there. And I just decided, I'm going to go and give that a crack. Now, you don't start by going to England and refereeing All Blacks versus England.
For sure, yeah.
Came home that after the World Cup that year in 2007.
Yep.
Back to the Gold Coast and started refereeing. Called up the local association and said, give me a whistle.
Yeah.
And they promptly put me into under 12s.
Beauty.
Logan versus Easts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And away we went.
Away you went.
Yeah. So honestly, I sat there in England and I said, man, I want to give myself a chance. Now that I'm a little bit
be on
older,
the world stage.
give it a go.
That's what
Why
you
not?
want.
Why not?
I like that. Yeah. Give me literally 1 second. I'm feeling OCD about something.
What have I done?
All right. Good stuff. Now, okay. You picked up the whistle. When was this? Do you remember what year?
2008.
2008.
Yep.
Okay. And if I'm not mistaken, it was 2011, your first year going on Rugby Sevens World.
Yeah.
3 years.
8, 9 years. So in my start of my fourth year. I never thought of that.
Quick. That's quick.
Yeah, it's quick.
It's impressive.
Thanks.
What'd you do? How did you progress so fast?
Yeah, it's probably a question for other people.
Yeah, okay.
Look, I'm like I said, I'm really passionate about it.
For example, when you picked up the whistle, did you just have a knack for it? As in, this came easy to you? Were you like straight away a prodigy? Or were you like, oh God, I am being humbled big time and I'm going to have to put my feet in the ground and grind this so that I can get where I want to go?
It's a pretty funny question.
I guess that's more what I'm after.
Yeah, and look, if I'm being honest, there's probably a little bit of elements of both in there. I wouldn't say prodigy. I'm a long way from that. Remember my first game, for example, the coach that came along sort of sits me down afterwards and he goes, well, Matt, he's an old guy, he's very experienced, a guy called Ian Scotney. Yeah. And he says, well, Matt, really liked your enthusiasm. We've got a lot of work to do.
Wow, that's always a humbling one.
Yeah, if I'm really honest, I turned up for the first game.
You try hard.
Pretty much, like, oh, you really put your boots on well. And I just had no idea, mate. So small things that growing and refereeing, like we talked about earlier, comes down to, on a weekly basis, reviewing your situation, finding a small thing, thinking about how you can implement change and then changing it. But we had to start real basic. For example, when a kick goes up, I'll be watching the ball in the air instead of the players and what's happening on the ground.
Yes.
So poor kid got taken out, like shoulder charged off the ball. And I haven't seen it yet because I'm running around like a player going to catch it. You know, you might see a group of 5-year-olds playing soccer, how they all chase the ball.
For sure.
This is me first time refereeing.
Makes sense.
Just
Yeah,
running around.
it's the same in basketball. Kids put on the whistle and you want to watch that 3-point shot go up. You want to watch the ball, watch it in its flight, it's coming over. Oh, he scored it. Oh my God. But then you missed the foul on the shot, you missed the box out, you missed the rebounds.
Yeah, you're not a spectator anymore.
Exactly. You're
actually a referee and there's a different way of viewing the game. So once I got that, and I picked that essence up pretty quick. Like, yes, I do need to learn. Yes, I'm unavoidably going to have to be humble here because I'm not very good at this yet.
Yep.
But I guess in the end, a long way from being a prodigy, the skill that I brought to it was intent. And my intent was to learn. So I was turning up Thursday night doing Thursday night rugby on the Gold Coast, Friday night footy somewhere else, 2 games on Saturday, and then 2 games on Sunday for 2 years because I wanted to make sure that they knew me.
Yeah.
And that I was keen and learning and just listening to guys, man, just turning up and going, hey, what did you see? Can I improve on something? There's a risky strategy because once you do that, you open yourself up to all sorts of weird information.
For sure.
And you've got to filter it.
Yes.
So I guess in terms of answering your question, how did I get to where I got? I was very lucky that I could take all that information.
Yes.
And then I had the resources like my father who'd been there before and some of his colleagues, Andrew Cole, for example, and Scott Young, international referees themselves, were available to me. So I could feed that incoming information through their filter.
Made the transition a little easier.
A lot easier. I was very lucky to have a really strong support system.
I like that. I like that a lot. Now, I'm going to go straight into some juicy stuff.
Go hard, man. Go hard.
Now, okay, first of all, this might be like a multi-part question. Okay, jeez, how do I know?
Just ask it.
All right, first of all, were you a very liked ref?
Oof. Guess you'd have to ask other people.
Okay, I'm gonna go to the jury of the internet.
Whoa.
You told me to ask other people.
Okay, yeah.
Now I understand hate often trumps love in this world.
Let me just claim that. By the time you make televised refereeing.
This is gonna be hilarious because remember before?
Yep.
How you said you were a pharmacist?
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't say that I was loved because I've got a funny feeling this is going pear-shaped real fast.
Hey, I'm not saying you weren't loved. I got a lot of haters and a lot of lovers when I walk up to the stadium.
Yeah.
But okay.
Let's go.
What I found really the funniest thing that I found, okay, is you obviously have a couple haters out there.
For sure. I can admit to having a significant number of known people with a grudge.
Okay. No, we laugh about it now, but
Yeah.
yes, apparently. Now, what's funny is you told me you were a pharmacist before, and immediately in my mind sparked something that I read, and it said, Matt O'Brien, Kiwi, born and bred, and he sells drugs.
Where did you read that?
On a website, because you're a pharmacist. They framed you as sells drugs.
Wow.
Like, what?
Well, I guess in one aspect, I am a legalized professional.
Legalized drug dealer.
Yeah, seller of medications. Yeah.
That was hilarious. And what I also read was... oh my goodness. I thought that was just hilarious.
Yeah.
Now, next, okay, it says... The treatment of Bryce Lawrence was wrong, and so is the treatment of Matt O'Brien.
Ooh.
And then it says, it seems that it is an integral part of South African rugby to complain about the referee and insult him. It is no wonder that South Africa has referees beaten up during and after matches. They are fair game, not human beings entitled to respect and good manners as human beings. Part of what is required by the laws of God and man, it is a black mark on the reputation of a great rugby nation. Now, this was a more neutral stance on some things that would happen, but obviously there was a lot of controversy that you've been through. Yeah. And that's natural. Obviously, when you make it to the world stage of something, there's sponsors, there's money, there's players' dreams, whatever. People get heated. And as a referee, a quote that I sometimes reflect on, or that I've seen in the past, it's not like a big deal, but it says you're gonna please 45% of people 50% of the time,
if you're lucky,
and the other 5% are untouchable anyway.
Yeah.
So, literally, when you're on a world stage, you're going to get criticized.
Correct.
Now, I want to know. Open up the floor to you. What's it been like to, I guess, on the track of abuse? What is some of the abuse that you've received throughout the years, and how has that affect you? I'll have follow-up questions from there.
Sure. I'm trying to figure out where I'll come from with that question. There's a multifaceted answer to that. It's a really, really good question, I think, probably for officials of many sports. And And there's a couple of ways of looking at it. So the incident you're referring to there about South Africans and some of the negative feedback I got there was kind of something that grew over a long period of time. And it really helped me. I'm fortunate now, it was as long as 6 or 7 years ago. So I've had a lot of time to learn and grow from the incident that you're referring to. In the sevens, I was lucky to do a lot of significant games within that competition and a consistent match, because I was refereeing for Australia.
For sure.
Under the Australian Rugby Union banner.
Yep.
I was able to referee New Zealand versus South Africa.
For sure.
On a number of occasions. And that's it. For us in that competition, that was a big game at the time. South Africa were really good, and so were the New Zealand team. And it sort of teed off. Let me stick to your thing about abuse first.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
So there's different types of abuse that happens to an official, and I guess if you're gonna go in with your eyes open, so if you want to be on the big stage where the stakes are high, you're going to need to develop a bit of a water off a duck's back situation, because on any given day, for sure, you've got millions of people watching. If you think you complete, like you just said, 45% of 50%, someone's going to lose every week.
For sure.
And even amongst the winning team, there's going to be dissatisfied people because they're going to point the finger.
Well said.
Yeah. So you've got to expect that you're going to need to be comfortable within yourself and not getting your self-worth from the information coming in, or the feedback coming in.
I like that. Yep.
So maybe we can touch on that a bit more later, but
yeah,
from the abuse point of view,
yep.
At that international level, by the time you get there, you've probably got a bit of a thicker skin. And that was, to a certain extent, true of me at the time. Maybe I was in denial even about some of the information coming in. Like I just go, I might even externalise and say things like, I don't care what they think. But the fact of the matter was, coming in, we had media after I refereed a New Zealand versus South Africa game, and New Zealand came back. 3 tries in the last couple of minutes, and one of the ways it was hung on me was I'd made a marginal decision. We'll call it a 50-50 call that went in favour of New Zealand, and it swung the momentum of the match.
Right.
Now the fact of the matter is, if I could have that time again, I wouldn't make that call. So ideally, when I'm being objective in my review of it, I go, yep, I did make that mistake. I'm going to need to own that. Why did I make that mistake? Was I feeling pressure?
Yeah.
What was it about that moment that made me make a 50-50 call? I'll need to think about that, build a strategy to minimise the likelihood of it happening ever again, and move on.
Love that.
That's all I take out of it. Outcome of the match, not interested.
Yep.
It's not the referee's place in rugby to have an interest in the outcome. And I certainly didn't score 3 tries for New Zealand.
Yeah, absolutely.
To make them win. But then when if you look at it from the fans' point of view, if the marginal call isn't made, the momentum never shifts, and they go, yep, that's where can we place the blame? It's not on our guys, it's not on ourselves.
For sure.
It's the official, for
People
sure.
don't want to take responsibility.
Yeah, and to their credit, man, South African fans are passionate.
Yeah.
They love it. And they're parochial, one-eyed supporters in favour of their team, like New Zealanders. And they went hard in the media. And I have to admit, at the time, even though I said things like, I don't care what they think, or I'm not interested in what media says, I was all over social media waiting for incoming things about, here's the referee for today. And look, honestly, I was self-indulgent with that at the time. And so no surprises then that even though I said to everyone, no, I'm fine, I'm cool, on the inside I was crumbling when that happened. It was a lot of pressure at the time.
For sure.
So in one hand, acutely when that sort of crowd, we'll call it abuse or external fan-driven or media-driven pressure, I don't like the word abuse, but negative pressure comes in.
Yeah.
You could hide. You finish the game, it's not too direct, so you can go to your hotel, you get on the bus to the airport and you fly to the next destination, and kind of pretend that the world tunes out, but body keeps the score. You've felt that pressure.
I hear you.
These things are a fact. So initially, no problem. What really is interesting though is when you take that to a local level. For example, last week down here in a local game, Noosa versus Caloundra. You know, this is relatively speaking low stakes.
Yep.
But on any given weekend, the guys out there, it's high stakes for them. It's maybe a crowd of 100 people versus New Zealand, South Africa, a crowd of 30,000. And in a crowd of 100 people, you can hear everything. and there's no security stopping them. And when they make a good cutting remark, like if they're crafty in how they deliver something, you hear it.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, someone said to me last week from the sidelines, "You won't be smiling if you can't walk, ref."
Wow.
Whoa.
That is a boundary.
It's a boundary.
Holy.
Like, and I like to think these days that I enjoy going down to mediate a tough game on the weekends these days. It's actually fun. But I have to admit that comment cut through.
For sure.
And I actually even swung my head. And, oh, man, you said something there. And so, I don't know. It's interesting, man. Lots of different styles and ways that negative pressure or, hashtag abuse, or, inverted commas abuse can cut through.
Yeah.
And what I'd say about it is I think rugby's about being bigger than that. So as a referee, on one hand, abuse is not to be tolerated. On the other hand, if you're going to be a referee, you need to sort of embody the bigger man picture, or the bigger person picture rather, and be able to let that stuff slide off your back and don't react. If you react, what's it
giving them what they want?
Well, and what is it within yourself that you're insecure about, that you feel like you need to react to what is obviously a reactive, silly comment from someone who's being flippant.
Yeah.
Especially at a local level.
Yeah.
When people are coming at you with that sort of information, they're not doing it because they hate you. They don't. None of them even know me. They certainly wouldn't know my name. They're just yelling at a jersey.
Yeah.
And if you're reacting to it, you're personalising it. So
yeah.
I don't know, man. It's a weird one.
Because I guess the players are emotionally attached to the outcome, whereas the referee is not. So it would be important as a referee to realise this and take a step back to recognise the fact that, and would you agree that, because I guess what I'm trying to say is like, criticism in reality is a part of the game.
Yeah.
It's always going to be there. Lots of referees struggle with it because, as you said, those comments, they can cut you down. Yeah. And I guess what I'm hearing from you is the advice that you would give to officials coming up who are going to have to take some of that criticism is to realize, to not get sucked in and be able to realize that they are just projecting often projecting their own insecurities onto you and looking for a scapegoat for a mistake that they did, etc. And just in understanding that, you can kind of step back from being emotionally involved. And I guess
look, I think there's a really broad piece there that speaks to the why am I refereeing picture. So in order to turn up like that and to be non-reactive, if I was going to be talking to young referees about how to avoid being reactive to people in the crowd or to negative pressure, I'd be asking them, why are you refereeing? So you need to get really down and ugly with yourself about what is it that I'm looking for when I turn up to officiate this game. In rugby, if you're turning up to referee rugby because you like getting attention, that's fine, but understand that attention isn't always positive. And why do you seek attention? There's probably some deeper stuff behind that.
For sure.
What we try to do in rugby union, there's a thing they call the spirit of the game.
Yep.
So for young guys that were thinking about getting into this, I'd say, look, do you like the game? Do you like to be fit? And do you enjoy a challenge? And are you interested in sustained personal growth? Because you're going to get challenged and you're going to have to grow if you want to survive in the environment.
It's like a prerequisite of a referee right there.
Completely.
Before you even get into refereeing, understanding those, can you list that off one more time?
Personal growth. Are you interested in sustained personal growth?
That's the biggest one.
Are you passionate about the game?
Yep.
Do you like fitness?
Yep. Got you. Yep.
If you're fit, if you understand if you want to be personal growth and you're passionate about the game. Now, the passion about the game aspect is a little bit deeper again. So for rugby union, for example, there's a thing, we talk about the spirit of the game. So rugby, the spirit of the game it's a sport for all. And it's true to its values of discipline, respect, integrity, passion, and in particular solidarity. Now, the solidarity part of that for me, that's the answer to my why. Why do I referee rugby? And there's something about, for me, when you turn up to, be it Saturday at Noosa when there's a crowd of 100, or Port Elizabeth in a crowd of 30,000, there's something about the collective conscience of people all focused on one thing. They might be from different teams, that's okay, but there's something common in that.
Yes.
We love this game. We are here with all our differences. And rugby is played by people of every shape and size, man. Every shape, from your short little whippets to your massive fridges of people. Everyone's there. So the solidarity aspect for me is key to understanding what really brings a referee along, what really might make them tick in the long term. If you're going to survive the incoming negative pressure, but you're in with solidarity and understanding that picture of the game, you're turning up and you're in line with the values of the game.
Yes.
Your behaviours will fall in place with that.
Yes.
And then when the negative impact information comes in, you're doing okay, because you're like, no, it's okay, I'm acting in line with why I'm turning up. In counselling, we'd call it congruence.
Right.
I'm being congruent with why I'm here.
Yes.
I'm being in line with it. If you're not, and this is from my own learnings.
Yeah.
When I turn up to, and it's still, even though I've done a lot of refereeing, still on a weekly basis, I'll catch myself being reactive. Be it a player coming at me and going, "Ref, make this call." Maybe I bark back.
Yeah.
Why am I barking back? It's because he's highlighted an insecurity within myself.
For sure.
You're challenging me. I feel like I shouldn't be challenged. Rah.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm being true to the game and just making easily understandable calls, and I'm congruent with solidarity, and we're all here for the spirit of the game factor, I don't react to anyone. I turn up and I'm happy. If someone comes at me and challenges me, and I might even say to them, "No, I'm sorry. That's not the call I've made," and I'll continue in a calm fashion.
Yes. Yes.
But when I'm not like that, if someone's gotten at me and I'm feeling entitled, like, "Don't you disrespect my authority,"
yes.
then I lose it and I get reactive with people.
Yeah.
I think I've gone off topic.
That's
there.
powerful. No, that's great. That's more on topic.
Yeah.
This is the stuff, and it's funny you talk about solidarity, because there's a certain solidarity within sports, and you're a rugby union referee, I'm a basketball referee, and we're able to have this conversation, and these are the links between the two that can very much bridge. There's certain things that we all face, and there's common grounds. And I guess at the end of the day, this is the goal that I'm trying to dig up. And you mentioned counselling. You've spoken to me about the fact that you're very much investing a lot of time into counselling and learning about being a counsellor.
Yeah, I've been studying it part-time.
Yeah, which is incredible, especially for a referee point of view, because a lot of what we do, like the game as a referee, we have to deal with so much incoming stimulus,
so much,
to be able to be agile and maneuver that and progress. It's psychological. The
key word there is agility, mental agility. So call me out if I'm getting off tangent here, because I do like to go down
I love tangents.
The agility factor, I was thinking about this earlier today. Someone was talking about the game yesterday. I happened to pull my hamstring yesterday, and presented this really interesting situation as I'm leaving the field, which is in line with the inverted commas again, abuse topic from before.
For sure.
When you're on the field, when you hit the field as the referee, for me, it's kind of, you take on a certain persona. There's a hat you put on I'm referee, and I leave some of my personality and other things at the door, because I've got to fulfill this role, and so I need to act within it.
Yeah.
And to that extent, in dealing with different things, different styles of, we'll call it criticism rather than abuse, with different styles of criticism.
For sure.
There's different ways and different things that happen. So on the field, I'm in the game, I'm refereeing, okay, I'm getting certain level of criticism from players, and that's okay. There's a necessary tension that exists, and that's why there's a referee.
Yeah.
So that's got to happen.
For sure.
And there's an element of entitlement in that, because when you turn up in rugby, it is understood that there's a code of conduct, and players must theoretically adhere to that code of conduct in the spirit of the game, or you will penalise them. For example, the ref is the sole judge of time, his decision is final, and so forth. And so you go into that persona, and if you're not careful, if you're not mentally agile, or you're not aware of the fact that you're in a different persona on the field, once you leave the field or the game's over, you've also got spectators or anyone else, media, family, bringing in feedback / criticism.
Yeah.
And you've got to remember, you're no longer in the role of referee. People don't have to respect your authority when you leave the field.
True.
And if you're expecting them to, you've got a learnt habit of expecting people to respond to you in a given way. You're in for a world of hurt. And I was reminded of this. I was humbled by this, I guess, again yesterday, because I'm on the field. I'm going okay. It's a tense game. It's a knockout final locally.
Yeah.
And 60 minutes into the game, I pull my hamstring. Gutted. Proper gutted. I've got some other sports that I want to do later in the year.
Yeah.
And I'm going to need my hamstring for them.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit disappointed, and it's a little bit embarrassing. But ultimately, it's not like I've got a terminal diagnosis.
Sure, yeah.
But it's just a short-term injury.
Yeah.
I'm leaving the field, and some of the supporters, I won't name the team, but some of the supporters start absolutely laying into me with what in the past I might have thought was funny. Comments like, "Oh, this is the best sub of the day. You're crap," or using other words, not crap, but
yes.
Just fully getting stuck in, going, "Thank God you're not on the field."
Yeah.
And I'm looking at him, and inside, I didn't say anything, maybe because I'm getting older now, but inside, every little piece of me is going, "Boy, stuff you with some more aggressive terms."
Yeah.
And it's like I went home afterwards. I was fired up about it, and disappointed. So all those sort of frustration emotions are coming out. Sitting at home, and decided to have a wee write about it, just to figure out what I actually think about this. And it occurs to me that actually these people, I've got no reason at all. If I'm gonna reconcile with the situation to be calm in the future when these things happen, I've got to understand that people coming along as free spectators, I have got no entitlement, no reason to expect them to treat me in any particular way. Maybe societally it would be nice if people were treat referees more as human and be nicer about that. But I can't expect that from other people. Sure. I can only control what I can control.
I like that. Yes.
And what I can control is my expectations around that behaviour.
Yep.
Okay, I've gone off, they're saying something to me. If I'm cool with what I've done, like we was talking about before, if I'm congruent that I'm acting within behaviours that are in line with what's true to me, then I'm not worried what they think.
I like that.
If I'm leaving the field and part of my self-value that I'm getting is driven by what people are saying to me, what spectators or my family or whatever, if people are saying, "Gee, Matt, you're a good ref," and that's where I'm drawing my self-worth from, I'm in trouble.
Yes.
Because when I leave that field, I'm going to cop it. You can't please all the people all the time.
Yeah.
But if I'm driving my self-worth from what I did and how I'm acting on the field, no worries. Oh, gee, that guy's a dick. Didn't like what he said. Oh, well, I'll get on with my life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great because, and I think that's really important for referees out there to understand as well, that I guess to be an exceptional referee, you have to do a lot of that inner work. Yeah. In fact, to be an exceptional person in life, really, you got to do the inner work. You got to kind of clean your closet.
Got to clean your closet.
Clean the closet of those demons, because at the end of the day, and also touching on what you said before, it's like the controllables at the end of the day as well.
Yeah.
You can't really control what happens, but you can always control how you respond. And I think that's a huge key for referees to understand. So we got one, do some of that inner work to understand, to try and build your own self-esteem.
Yeah.
And clean your closet.
Clean your closet, get rid of that. Go talk to those dark skeletons in there. The more comfortable you can get with them, the more you're going to be able to act in line with yourself on the field, the less reactive you become.
Yeah, huge. Love that.
How we going, man?
That was really good. Okay.
I'd go further. I'd go further if I may to say
go.
that piece about learning about yourself.
Yeah.
That really is the entire journey of becoming a master of match officiating. Now, I'm not suggesting for a minute that I became the master.
Yeah.
I'm still working on myself as a human, but that's the mission, the never-ending journey. is learning about yourself. And the more you can learn about yourself, the more control you've got over yourself, the more you can expect other people to respond to you when they do you the privilege, give you the privilege of letting you facilitate their match.
Yeah. Were there times during your career where you were pretty mentally shook by what's been going on, and to the point where maybe you considered quitting or considered stepping away because of what happened? And describe what that experience was like and how you persevered.
That hits straight to the bone. The short answer is yes. My career finished well short of where I would have liked. So I was in a position where to become a referee in the initial stages, you're a volunteer. And so all of that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday situation I was telling you about is volunteered time. All the fuel, all the expenses and time and social pressures on relationships that come with giving that amount of time, they're real. So in order to time off work, in order to make that lifestyle work for me, I actually started trying to build a business in the meantime that would facilitate me being able to take time away and have money coming in and so forth. And I ended up in a really funny, really interesting position where my business and my rugby career both took off at the same time. And at the time I was under a bit of pressure at home in my relationship, mortgage to pay and these types of things. And at the time, young, maybe arrogant about how much I could handle, I was storm brewing inside, pressure brewing, and I didn't realise it, but I was about to pop. So was there any times where I felt like it was getting too much or anything? Yeah. It got to a point when for about a year where I was getting on the plane and seriously doubting myself. So we might go away for a month at a time overseas, and I started thinking things like I'd be on the plane going, just looking out the window, and don't get me wrong, it's amazing. You get to travel the world, like what a great, you sit there with gratitude. But hang on a minute, I should be grateful for what I'm doing. Why am I starting to resent this plane?
That should word.
Yeah.
And that's a problem I find, and sorry to cut you off, but a lot of referees, I believe, feel this way. Like, I should be feeling good. I'm on top. I should be X, Y, and Z. But that's invalidating to your own experience as a person who is experiencing these very real emotions. And just because you can compare it to kids in Africa that don't have food doesn't make it any less internally serious.
Yeah, it's a really subjective experience.
And so you're on the plane, man.
Yeah, so this is my first experience in identifying that I've got to find where I get my self-worth from in a different way, or that I may have some other things that I need to deal with as an individual. So we'd finished at the Tokyo Sevens, 2014, and it's 2013 or 14, whatever. It was one of those years. And Tokyo's amazing. It's a crazy city with a completely wild culture that's just, you get off the plane, it's a sensory overload of new information, and this place is off the hook. I love it. And we finished the game, finished the tournament, and we're on the bus or the train back to the airport to leave. And I'm looking out the window, wondering what on earth I'm doing with my life. I'm literally looking out the window going, man, my mate's getting married, I can't make it. Oh, cool, just another hotel. It was just the same as any other hotel. My girlfriend's angry. Where were you? You're never there for me. And yeah, I enjoyed the match, but fast forward a couple more years to Hong Kong, the big match. I finished the final there. There's 30,000 people buzzing on you, and you feel alive. There's no, like surfing or something else, there's no tomorrow, there's no yesterday when you're in those environments. It's just this awesome buzz of energy and now. And then you get on the train in Tokyo to go home, or you sit in your hotel room after the Hong Kong final, and it's quiet. And my first experience of understanding I had to find my self-worth somewhere, it becomes apparent to me that everyone's gone home from those tournaments and no one gives a shit
about you.
No one gives a shit. They've all got their own lives to lead. Maybe they care about you as a human. Like, I'm not going to say I'm not loved. That's being dramatic.
I hear you.
But about that game you just did, hits home, man. This is literally just a game of dudes or women putting a ball in a different space and being proud that they did it at a simple level. So you sit in your hotel room and you maybe at the ground people saying, oh, great game, gee, it was amazing to see you. Or maybe they were even saying, that was crap, you did a really bad job. But even that's validating.
For sure.
You're still being seen, you're still being heard, I exist. This so sort of toxic, not toxic, what's the word? Powerful sort of concoction of energy there.
Yeah.
And intoxicating is the word.
Intoxicating,
of incoming information.
For sure.
You sit in that hotel or on the bus or on the plane home and no one gives a shit. It's just rugby. Oh, hang on a minute, but I thought I was a hero yesterday. All these people were saying things and I was validated. I had a trainer saying, be here at this time, here's your meal, do this, do that. On the plane, sitting beside someone who doesn't even know where you've been or care because they've got their own life in another country. You just, initially that's confronting. In the end, it becomes powerful because you get the sweet freedom of understanding that you are just a small part. And there's a freedom in that. But at the time, when you thought you were a big deal, that's really hard to hear or to realise. And then you get home, and all of a sudden, like first world problems here.
For sure.
All of a sudden, you've got a girlfriend that's angry. You got to go do the groceries. The laundry isn't just done. And these are things that normally are such a small issue. You just have a daily habit and you do these things, but they hit you. And then you start to feel. I started to feel bad. Oh my God, I'm a shit human. Like I actually just all I'm looking for is incoming noise. I want people to tell me how good I am.
Like external validation.
And domestically I'm rubbish. Oh my God, what have I done with my life? So I really started to question myself, and that was around about the time that it all fell apart for me.
Wow.
I mean, literally in the space of having that realization, maybe 24 months, and I found myself on the outer.
Wow. And you haven't gone back to reffing since? Oh, well, you ref locally now? Just
so,
not the world
so
stage.
the way that actually played out was, and a really good metaphor for this is when you've got your life on track, off the field, and you're doing things again congruent. When you're acting in line, you know why you're doing your life, and you're living in line with your values. Everything just stacks up on the field. It's easy. But then when you get home and you're questioning these things, and your life falls apart off the field, on the field suffers.
For sure.
So I got home at one point, and my employer was waiting for me and said, "I'm terribly sorry, you're not making the grade, and we need to cut your contract."
Wow.
That was
That's been really hard, man.
Yeah, it was a really tough time.
Especially because you speak so much about not getting your self-worth from those external, I guess, things, as well as, it sounds also like, I'm not saying it is, but it sounds like your self-worth was attached to a lot of those external stimulus, as well as success and like the whole fame image.
I call it the house of cards. So and I can say this now, obviously, with the benefit of hindsight.
For sure. Which is great for everyone else who's coming up, who can use your hindsight to help them on their journeys.
I've had a lot of fuel for personal growth in the last decade, and this was part of it. So the honesty of the situation is when the guy that had to cut up my contract, by the way, was a mentor of mine. So for him to actually do this, it was really hard on him too. Like, we're both in tears even as the conversation went down. Wow. I projected hard at the time and
for sure
lost contact for a while. But the fact of the matter was, as I reflect on it, I had actually based but a lot, far too much, in fact a majority of my self-worth on I am rugby referee, see how successful in inverted commas, you all think I am. And this really completely false house of cards that my persona was built on, or my ego was built on for that. And that got pulled out, and I got found wanting hard. Like I personally went to a very dark place for a couple of years.
Wow, man.
But hey, look, let's not be glum here. It sounds like I'm trying to make something nice out of a negative here, but the fact of the matter is that actually became the foundations of learning to really figure out who I am and what's up.
Love yourself for who you are, not for what you've done and what you can do. And
who gave me the impetus to find out who am I really? What am I up to? And not an easy path to find that.
No,
man, I've investigated some things to find out.
Some dark days.
Some dark days. But I say it with a smile because, man, as I look at the world now, really grateful to have had that powerful opportunity to be forced into going, okay, what makes me tick?
Yeah. And I can see now why you are utilizing this unique opportunity, because you've been there and you've done that, to now take that wisdom that you've gained, the lessons you've learned, to try and give back. And that's why I was so pumped to get you on, because this has been incredible already.
Cool.
Now, I think we'll swing it real quick. We'll swing it back. As much as my brain, all my brain wants to do all the time is just go down mindset, success and failure, everything. But I'm gonna pump the brakes because I do want to hit some referee specific stuff.
Yeah.
Now, first, the thing that's on my mind, and I'm just gonna go with that one, even though it didn't even come to me.
Yeah.
I was actually speaking to Ollie the other day, and you ran a little bit of a talk with some of the referees and players and coaches to try and help build a bridge between rapport and everything like that.
That's right.
So I'm curious because of what you said, because I've got players that listen to this and referees and everything like that, and I wanted to tell Ollie, I was like, what did he say? Like,
well, maybe it's top secret. I don't know.
Yeah. So I guess what was that? What was the topic of that?
Sure. So the way that played out was this year in the local rugby competition here. I've been listening to the teams and the coaches after matches and some of the sideline stuff, and with the knowledge of where I've been and now not needing to prove myself anymore, I'm lucky that I can just turn up on Saturday and enjoy my game. And for me, the stakes are quite low. I've got other things that, regardless of outcome, I've got other things that I'll find my value in. So when I turn up, I am passionate about the game though, and I am looking at it going, okay, if we're going to get down with the spirit of the game and solidarity and make this local community of rugby really work, what do we need to do? And how can we attract more people to become referees? What's preventing that from happening? Why have we got so few?
Same problems in basketball. This is why I need to know.
Yeah, man. So
tell me.
So I've been looking at the season and going, well, you know, what do we need to change to make people want to referee? And one of those things is actually about crowds and the way they interact with the referee.
Yep.
Teams, so captains, coaches, clubs in general. What is the rugby community in general? How does it act and interact with itself? And where can we grow? Because at the moment in the local competition, it had been referees in one corner, the referees. In the other corner, everybody else.
Yeah. Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding, ding. On a weekly. And so I was turning up to training, and if I'm honest, like, we've got a lot of growth required in the referee culture.
Yeah.
Because we still had a little bit of that old school culture. And I'm as guilty as anyone. We'd turn up on a Wednesday to training or in our chats and talk about, this guy said this and what an idiot. Or he said this and here's a reason why it's stupid, and, you know, validate ourselves by talking about the negatives from other people. And caught ourselves doing it. It's like, oh, that's not ideal. The coaches and players are coming at us going, oh, you got this wrong, you got that wrong, and that's why the competition's not working. And what's missing in that picture is no one going, oh, I got something wrong. Let me think about what I did first. And so the thought for me is, if we're going to expect that players or other stakeholders in the game are first going to look in their own sandbox before they come pointing the finger at us, then we're going to have to embody that culture ourselves.
Sure.
So, okay, refs, yeah, we're not happy. There was a couple of guys that were really unhappy, and I'm one of them. Was really uncomfortable and unhappy with where I thought local rugby was and how people were dealing with officials, how they're reacting to me. Okay, if we're going to expect anything different from them, anything at all, first I'm going to have to embody that. Okay, what could I do better? And that's when I started again thinking about, okay, I'm being reactive because actually they've gotten me with an insecurity there. Wow, I'm not being congruent with myself. So in order to talk to the referees and tell that to people directly isn't so easy. Talk to the guys if they're in the habit of saying what the players are doing wrong. I'd say to them, but what could you do better? And maybe some guys will shrink away and be like, nah, it's not my fault. Don't show the mirror to me. I don't like what I see.
For sure.
And so I was trying to think of a way that we could stop people from being defensive around that conversation.
Yep.
The idea was, right, let's get everyone in the same room and talk about what we love about the game and try and find the bits that are common. So we just got the local coaches and captains and the referees in the room. Hey guys, what does this game mean to you? Got some of the players talking to the referees. It turns out we all love rugby. What are the odds?
What do you know?
What are the odds? These volunteers that play in community
You guys
sport,
are all humans? What?
Yeah. What? We're all humans?
You're kidding me.
Okay, yeah. Now, what cheeses you off in the weekend, players? I hate it when the referee turns up and he doesn't communicate and he just gives decisions that we don't understand, and maybe we lose. And I go home pulling my hair out. Why won't you guys talk to us? Oh, refs, what annoys you? I hate when players react to me like this, and I go home and I've given my time.
Yeah.
So we're all giving our time, not understanding each other. Okay. And so all of a sudden we look at each other in the room going, yeah, actually we feel the same. Okay, well, what would you like to see from the referees? Yeah, we just want you to talk and, communicate better with us and this type of thing.
Yeah.
The underlying, the probably specifically from a building confidence in the referees picture was getting the message across to the teams that acknowledging to them that they turn up and on the weekend they're putting their bodies on the line, and not for money, just for love of game, and they're all going to make mistakes. So in the end, the emphasis was as we approach finals, we're all going to make mistakes. This is the common humanity of what's going on here. You turn up, you put your body on the line for a season, and maybe you make a mistake in that team. Your fullback drops the ball, and it costs your team your semi-final or your final. He's got 22 players and coaching staff that hopefully pick him up, pat him on the back, and say, "Hey, bro, I got your back.
Get the next one.
Shame, man. You get the next one. We got you. We got you. Let's go again." In any given rugby match, 15 players, someone's making a mistake, man. For sure. Never seen a perfect match yet.
Never.
Ever.
I'm with you.
Yeah. And so as we approach finals, guess what's going to be facilitating your match? It's a referee. What's the referee? He or she is human. I have never, even at the world level, seen a referee put down a perfect performance. So, come finals time, when you're pointing your finger at the referee because he misses something, understand that first, please, within your team, 15 of those guys have probably made mistakes too. Except the referee doesn't have a squad of 23 to pat him on the back and say, "We got you, bro." When he finishes the match, he or she is going to leave the field and be subject to those negative gazes and all that sort of resentment about you cost us the match. So please, well, you don't have to thank them. You don't have to say, "Hey, thanks for ruining my match."
Yeah.
They probably didn't ruin your match.
Yeah.
There might be something you can look at first. But before we look at that, please, let's look at the fact that this is a human, and this human is just here as part of a common community.
I love that, man. And it sounds like the overarching theme here is a broadening of perspective and empathy at the end of the day. Understanding and I think also, especially in the basketball community, like there's a, it's like you're talking to a wall at each other. There's actually no acknowledgement of the other side.
Yeah.
There's no empathy for the other person, and there's no perspective where you're actually trying to see where they're coming from.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, your argument with a coach is you're actually arguing over 2 completely separate things.
Yeah.
And you actually don't realize.
What are they actually saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this guy's arguing over like the fact that you miss a foul call, and this guy's arguing over the fact that you're like displaying your anger in a certain way, and you just keep arguing over it. And it's like, hang on. Let me understand you first.
Exactly.
Now, what I'm hearing you say is you're unhappy with X, Y, and Z. Is that accurate? Coach says, yes, that's accurate. Perfect. Now let me give you my perspective. This is what I'm seeing. Bang, bang, bang. Defense is legal. Contact occurs. Goes through the torso. That's why I have that outcome. Does that make sense? Yes.
Okay.
Oh, so did we have anything to... We were actually talking about the same thing and arguing for the sake of arguing. And I really love that you said that. And I feel like I need to snip that and put that somewhere, because that was an incredible message to bridge that gap between the players and the refs in separate corners, and realizing that there's a solidarity.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, again, the key underlying message in that is, before you can expect that other person to change yourself first. Okay, so if I'm feeling misunderstood, They must be feeling it misunderstood. I need to show, because I can control it, that I'm trying to understand them. Oh, why are you reacting to me like this? Tell me more. I see you, I hear you, I acknowledge you. Yeah.
Solve a lot of problems in the world if we could.
Solving problems in sport.
Literally. Wow, incredible. I'm going to go with maybe one more major question, and then I'm going to hit you with my finisher, because we've spoken for a while. Maybe we need to have a part 2 and dive into like different sections or something. Yeah. Just because this is so valuable.
It's been a great 10-minute chat, mate.
Yeah. I'm going to just flip the headphones off real quick and just double check a couple things and then come back down. All right. I've got so many more questions I want to ask you.
Cool.
But I'm going to ask you one more main one and then do my finishing segment.
Hit me.
If you could do your entire career over again, what would you do different?
If I could do my entire career again, what would I do different?
Yep.
It's a big question.
It is a big question.
Look, I'm going to start that with, if I could avoid some of the more challenging times that I've had to go through to get to where I am, I probably would. I wouldn't seek to do them again. The fact of the matter is, I'm really happy and actually legitimately grateful for the experiences I've had, because I feel like it's going to power me to becoming, in the end, the guy that I always wanted to be. Won't be necessarily in the vehicle of rugby anymore. But, man, I'm not sure I would have gotten the opportunity to grow had I not been through some of the struggles. If we're playing that game.
If we're playing that game, yeah.
If old me could talk to young me and say, here's where you're about to go wrong, it'd be a big piece of humble pie. And I'd be putting my boots before every game and before I interacted with anyone. And I'd probably tone it down a wee bit and be more patient. I'd probably understand that, like, man, I'm 40 years old now, but when I was 30 and this was all starting to happen for me, I thought I only had a couple of years, because I was an old man, I was 30. Didn't understand that however old you are, you're always in the same, there's never enough time. For me, there's not. Yeah. I would tell young me, be patient, be humble, and maybe be more community oriented and group oriented first. That rugby, I would pass down that knowledge of greater rugby community and spirit of the game, and say, here you go, young fella, here's your humble pie. You need to act as part of a bigger picture, because the game is way, way bigger than any individual. That's all I'd do different. I'd take that in and I'd be much more calm.
Love it. Perfect. All right, Matt, got my favorite segment, and it's called free throws, because in basketball, when you go to the free throw line, you have 5 seconds to shoot your shot, or it's a violation. So basically, I'm going to throw you some questions. You have 5 seconds to answer, or it's a violation. All
right, I was never much of a free thrower, but let's go.
However, I am very lenient.
Hit me,
because I love the.
How many fouls do I get? Is it 5 and I'm off? Or
mate, you got some free throws to go through.
Okay, let's go.
All right, Matt, what's the best quality a referee can have?
State of calm, state of mind. Nope. Mindset towards personal growth.
Hey, I like that. Yeah. What's the worst quality a ref can have?
Arrogance.
Perfect. Are you at all sassy as a referee? As in, like, snap back?
There was a time when I didn't mind the chat.
Yeah.
And in a perfect world, I'd love to be able to give lip back to people.
Yeah.
That's not the game, though. That's about self-mastery.
Yeah, that's true.
I do enjoy the banter, though.
Now, what's the most sassiest thing you've said back to a player?
Oh. What's the rating of this podcast?
R18 plus today. It's got editing abilities. Yeah. Let's just say, go all in, and I'll edit if I need.
Front rower said to me not long into a game when it was hot, geez, you're sweaty, mate, you're out of shape. And I said to him, yeah, it's because every time I go to your mum, she puts me in the sauna.
My goodness.
And so, again, let me just say that this is not appropriate. Like, I'm not...
You don't condone your behaviour.
I do not condone that behaviour, but as I reflect on my life and refereeing...
mistakes were made.
Mistakes were made, and we learn from these.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Now, do you have, and going off this topic, but it's not necessarily a sassy thing anymore. Do you have a good one-liner that you say to players or something? So, for example, like if someone's coming at you with something, do you have a good like one-liner just to bang, they're taken care of?
Look, there's different. I'd give different attitudes and behaviours, hopefully, to different people on the ground. So in rugby, there's a generalised theme of I'll communicate with the captain, and he or she takes information to the teams.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a liberal thing. So if teams are respectful, then it's appropriate to the game. So they're not just being argumentative for the sake of it. If they're coming with genuine or sincerity around their inquiry, you might, if it's the wrong time and I need to bounce them, I might just give them the nod now, or just a wee nod of the head, like, just try and keep it calm. If they're being out of hand, I'd probably just be going, talk to your captain, or even better, I'm not responding.
Yeah.
So how do I show you that I've got a boundary around who can talk to me?
Yeah.
When you come to me and you're not the person who should be talking to me, I'm not responding. And you'll learn real fast, because, talking to a back or talking to a plain face that isn't reacting to you is, gets boring quickly.
True.
Yeah. Players are, when they're up and they're passionate, they're looking for a response now, and they'll go looking elsewhere for it if you don't give them a reaction.
I like that. I like it a lot. Admitting a mistake in rugby union during a game, yes or no?
Big call. This is interesting. Have I got more than 5 seconds?
You got more than 5 seconds.
Sure.
Why not?
Here's the answer.
Go.
On the field, acknowledging a mistake, there's different ways of doing it. If you've just given a try to the team and they didn't actually get it, and if it's an international match, you've got video, you can take it back and go, hey, my apologies, let's rectify that, give the ball to the other team. In rugby, though, that's fine. At a non-international level, at local level, if I make a call and I get it wrong and that impacts who gets the ball, and then you go, oh, actually, guys, by the way, sorry, I've got that wrong.
But I can't correct it.
I'm not changing my decision, though.
Yeah.
You're essentially setting yourself up for big failure.
Yeah.
So you need to try and minimise how often that happens. But maybe be a little bit smart about how you display that you've got it wrong. Yeah. Maybe it's an acknowledgement to a captain of, let's talk about that one later, you may have a point.
Yeah.
And afterwards, maybe acknowledge it.
Yes.
Let me give you an example of where I got this horribly wrong.
Cool.
And I do mean horribly wrong.
Listen, I'm ready.
When in my second year of refereeing, it was maybe the third grade final in Brisbane. Second or third year refereeing, Easts versus somebody. And there's, in rugby they call it a maul. Basically, all the guys on their feet trying to push the ball over the line, and ball and all sorts can get tangled up in there. I thought I could see the ball as it went over the try line, piece of white leather, and the whole situation of players goes over the try line, hits the ground, and there's a white thing.
Oh my gosh!
On the floor, 3 or 4 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Team down by 4.
Oh.
And I give the try, bang, and I turn around, and once you've given a try, maybe if I had the situation again, I would own this one.
Yeah.
Too young, too naive, too scared, too possum in the headlights to get this right. As I've given the try, I turn around and start walking back, and I see my assistant referee, the touch judge, and he's looking at me like this, like big wide-eyed, jaw dropped.
That's not what you want.
Bro, you made a mozza of this. And I look further in field, and there's the ball. No one's seen it. There's the ball, 5 metres out, nowhere near the try line. What have I just seen? It's a white boot. It's the edge of a white boot. So essentially, I've guessed, because I was under pressure and I was still very raw and new as a ref.
Yeah.
Just a flat-out error.
Yes.
The captain of the team that's about to lose the game because I did this, and they'd lost the game. This is a clear example of they lost the game because of me.
Yeah.
Coming at me going, you muppet, you've destroyed our lives. Like,
muppet.
Fully lost his stuff at me.
Yeah.
And I was too inexperienced to know how to deal with it, and I've just gone, no, I've given the try, get back. Obviously, so they kicked the goal, game over, East win. Or maybe East lost, but East were involved.
Yeah.
Sitting in the change rooms afterward, and as the adrenaline comes down, I realise, oh my God, this is my fault.
Yeah.
I need to own that. And the error is this. great to have the integrity to go, actually, that was my fault. I'm gonna put my hand up. Be a little bit smarter about when and where you do it. The time to do it is not in half an hour after the game when everyone is stewing in the changing rooms. So I went into the changing rooms, knock on the door. Oh, hi, losing team. Sorry about today. I just want to acknowledge for you that was an error by me, and I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
And even as I say that now, I cringe, because what was I expecting?
Yeah.
Are they going to come out and go, we understand, mate, thanks, no worries, better luck next year?
Far out.
No, man, look, one of them just looks up and goes, get the F out of our change room.
Wow.
So yeah, important to own the mistakes. Maybe think carefully about when and how you own it.
I'm with you there.
Yeah.
I've had some experiences of my own along that line.
What was I thinking? What happened to you?
Oh, there's been a few. Like, sometimes... Oh, it's been heaps.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll tell a player, oh, sorry, man, like, I might have missed that one.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they have the reaction of, like, oh, it's all right, mate, like, I understand. And sometimes, like, well, that makes me madder because now you've messed me up. I should have had it.
Yeah.
And then there's also another one where I haven't ever told anyone this, but...
Bring it.
But you know what's lucky about this situation? I changed the outcome of a game accidentally at the time, obviously. Yeah. It was a very serious game, which affected a very serious outcome. And my call literally changed the outcome. Nobody knew, except for me.
Oh, yeah. I feel like that probably happens all the time.
Probably happens all the time. Yeah. But it was a mistake that I watched and I reflected and I went, holy, I actually messed that up big. Yeah. And this has changed everything. And so nobody's noticed.
And so do you bring that to the other team and admit it, or do you just keep that under your hat?
Well, as I said at the start, I've never told anyone this one.
Because I'm comfortable with just wearing that and going home and going, woo.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah, it's not a good feeling, but, you know.
It's part of the game, though.
Part of the game. Okay, anyway, let's get back on track. All right, what's a bang for buck? What's the most bang for buck habit all referees need to adopt into their lives?
Bang for buck habit.
Yeah, like a habit that takes 20% of the effort but yields 80% of the results, and it's one habit every ref should be doing. They need to be doing.
Yeah. Daily gratitude. Daily gratitude. It's a practice that I've picked up. Thanks. Put a wee shout out to the Resilience Project.
Okay. Yeah. Nice.
Getting up every day or every night, but at least somewhere in your day, and writing down 3 things outside of rugby, or outside of officiating rather, that you're grateful for in your greater life in general. To hone in that attitude of thanks and maybe helping to not focus on the negativity that could be coming your way as an official. If it's just one, that's it. Bang for buck. Get your momentum towards feeling grateful for your life.
I love that. Big shifts.
Big shifts.
Yeah, especially because I find in myself most often time, the thing that I'm grateful for is the thing that I'm struggling with or the thing that's going bad, because that's what's at my attention. And then all of a sudden you realize, this really terrible thing actually has a lot of power within it to actually be a good thing. And it's all about perspective.
Yeah, and you get a long-term shift if you're compounding that practice over a period of time. It actually affects how you view all sorts of incoming information. In particular, if you're having a bad day or a bad season and you're sitting down with, but what am I grateful for in my life? You realise that you're so much more beyond your role as an official, because there's so much more else going on, and a lot of it's really positive, and we're lucky to even be here. It's a bit.
I like it.
Bit big picture, but yeah.
Huge. That's what we want. Do you have a secret talent?
I can whistle like a bird.
You can? Well, you better do it now.
I've got 2 secret talents.
You've got a heap of secret talents, apparently. Can you do your whistle?
All right, let's bring this. Hang on. Got to wet my whistle.
I hear you.
I need some of this tea, this amazing tea that you've got.
Wow, that is actually really good. That is the coolest secret talent I've ever had on this.
Yeah, but I do have an actual. I'm actually got a like a secret superhero talent.
Okay.
Semi-ordinary superpower.
Okay.
Sorry, a semi-ordinary superpower.
Okay.
Yeah. It's true.
I don't think they call semi-ordinary superpowers.
No, you'll see.
Okay.
It's definitely semi-ordinary.
Okay.
I cannot save the world with this power,
Okay.
but I've definitely been blessed by the superhero gods.
Well, the
with
suspense
this-
is built.
with this talent. I will get the best car park available in the car park in any given circumstance. And
What?
yeah, I don't know if it's just me that calls me this. I'm going to put it out there that I don't know who they are. It might just be me. Calls me the parking master.
Where? What? That is
man.
incredible.
People in the car say, no, we'll never get a park. Turn around. Like, man, you're in the car with the parking mother effing master. I will find the car park.
That is a talent. Okay.
Yeah, but
I'll
you can
hand
see
it to
why
you.
I
That's
ain't
cool.
saving the world with that talent, but
I mean, heck, you might save the world with that talent one day. Maybe if you drive an ambulance and you get to the spot.
yeah, I promise you, I am getting the car park.
Wow.
It's been on repeat my whole life.
Okay. All right. I trust you. All right. Getting booed. Love it or hate it?
Love it.
Love it.
It's
I'm with
validating.
you.
There's no such thing as bad press, man. When you're, it's a little bit negative. Going back to that old stuff.
Yeah.
It's all
It
validating,
feeds-
but
yeah. It makes you feel alive.
yeah, but when you're
That's
on
cool.
and you know it's just a game,
Yeah.
if it's just a
And
game
you
and
have
you're
the
playing your
awareness.
part in the theatre of it, boo, you're like, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I like that. Especially when you have the awareness that you're not attached to
Yeah.
a certain outcome or whatever.
There's booze and there's booze.
There's booze and there's booze. I hear you. All right. What's the best resource to improve? We're talking books. We're talking
Yep.
podcasts. We're talking movies.
Mentorship. Old people that have been in your game for a long time, all your peers, people that will give you information objectively and are able to call you out when you're getting it wrong and you're not able to see it yourself. So people that are able to be real for you,
I love that.
authentic probably.
Hell yeah. That's the reason I started this podcast.
And don't forget, man, regardless of how much your game, whatever game you're in has changed, old people that have seen it, there's a common thing that they've seen, and that's how do you deal with pressure, or who am I as a human? They've got life experience, and if you'll just look at them and actually listen to the bigger picture, you can take, and they are valuable.
For sure. And it's really interesting you say that, because the amount of episodes I've done with very high level referees, there's a lot of common denominators
Hard hat.
that you're starting to start to see that maybe this is something
Yeah.
that's actually that I can adopt X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. You're not the first in your field.
You're not the first.
You may think you're the best, but you're not the first. And
Utilise
you're not the
that
first to think you're the best. There's been people before you. Please be humble and listen to those that have gone before
Facts. And as you said, the worst quality a ref can have, you said arrogance. If you're arrogant, then you're not going to be able to learn. And if you're not going to learn, you can't have the best quality you said a ref can have, which is personal growth mindset.
you. Yeah.
All ties in.
I'm going to add humility into that.
Humility,
And
absolutely.
growth,
You got to be able to know where mistakes were made if you're going to fix them. Love that. All right, I'm just going crazy because I love this.
Go. I'll make my answers shorter.
All right, favorite book.
Oof. Yeah, hit me. I'll be shorter. Resilience Project.
Who do you look up to, or who inspires you the most?
I did the late Andrew Cole, from a rugby refereeing point of view, mentor of mine who passed away recently, embodied everything about what we've just talked about in this picture.
Love it.
Yep.
Favorite athlete.
Usain Bolt,
Usain Bolt.
machine,
Sick.
pure genetic and grind machine, the perfect mold of just
Of a
sports,
world.
just pure
Of a
human
world
greatness.
record holder.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
yeah, fastest ever.
I love that. Hey, guess what? I'm going to finish it up.
Yep.
That's enough. We've talked for long enough. We've gained a lot of wisdom. I really appreciate you coming on. I'm going to finish with one final question, and I promise this is the last one.
That's okay.
If you could instill one message into the next generation of ambitious referees, you're talking to the Nathan Crosses, you're talking to the Ollies,
Yeah.
you're talking to the young bucks just picking up, we're talking about the people coming through that you're mentoring. If you can instill one message into them, what would it be?
You are much more than an official. If you're passionate about the game, take up officiating if you want to stay involved, and understand that you are much more than just that role. The feedback coming in does not define you. So line up your values off the field and how you want to live your life, and make officiating a small part of your bigger picture. But then go after it, man. Be passionate. Strive for the top, but understand that if and when you don't make it, or when your career comes to an end, that you're much, much more as a human, and you've got much more to give than simply officiating.
Yeah.
Oh.
I love that.
That's what I would say.
The self-worth isn't attached to an outcome beyond your control, it's just sport. It is just sport, and sport is a small part of a bigger culture. But yeah, get amongst it, give it a crack, because there's a massive amount of personal development and travel or life opportunities in being an official, because not everyone wants to do it. Yeah, that's it, man. Bang. We're done.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for letting me be here. This has been for me pretty funny, like pretty exciting to do. So
yeah, and we're all learning, and that's what it's about.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's
learning.
why I'm trying this. Like,
I'm already embarrassed. Like I'm already critically reviewing myself, going, "Oh man, this is going to be pretty funny."
I've barely talked, and I do the same.
Back to square one.
But at the end of the day, that's how it is. That's how life is. All right, love it. Let's end it there. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks,
Legend.
you too.
Done.
That was long, eh?
That was long. I might.